there was some study that was saying that the vast majority of people, I think it's like 80% of people in relationships, one will be a spender and one will be a saver naturally, and they're actually the relationships that work better. If you have two savers or two spenders, it doesn't work out. But it's that clash of going, right, when to bite your tongue and when to let things go. That's often a big one.
Exactly. And you're right, Justin, because my wife is definitely more of a spender than I would be. But I've seen relationships where you've got two savers, and that could be too frugal. And then obviously two spenders is the other way, where nobody's really taking control. So we find that our arguments are always about that middle ground, right, where one of us might prioritize something over another. But we've really learned, and again, because of that budgeting aspect for so many years, like these days it's a lot, there's a lot less friction, which is great. My example of the voucher is obviously a silly one in a sense, but it just shows the kind of what we would disagree on today, whereas years ago it was much bigger things. So it's a nice place to get to, which we've got to by implementing some of those practices early on to allow us to save in the first place.
I think the voucher story is a lot more relatable to most relationships than you think. One person will get something and the other goes, what is that? That's totally understandable.
It's funny you say that, because back in 2022, so we started investing in index funds and pension quite early on, and we eventually moved into real estate. We bought buy-to-let property, and I've fallen in love with the concept of buy. I love looking at property and getting into that side of it. And at one stage in 2022, I went and bought a house. I didn't tell my wife I was buying it or even looking, and I had to come back to her and go, just letting you know, I just bought a house today. And she had no idea. And so ever since that day, whenever she buys something that's a little bit expensive, the saying is, hang on a second, you did buy that house that day and didn't tell me, so I'm allowed to do this, extra 200 euros here or whatever. So it's been one of those kind of relationship stories that we have that I can't do anything right these days when it comes to overspending since then.
Okay, that is a crazy thing to do without talking about